Lewis Hamilton shocked everyone when he decided to switch to Ferrari, barely a year after his 2-year deal with Mercedes. No one saw it coming. But now, we finally know why Hamilton made this decision. This is how Lewis Hamilton joining Ferrari is the start of his journey towards redemption in the 2025 season. First off, why is Hamilton leaving Mercedes such a huge deal? Mercedes and Hamilton go way back. The company has been with Lewis since his karting days, and he's always considered himself a part of the Mercedes family. So, Hamilton deciding to make the split couldn't have been an easy decision. It's clear he's not letting his past get in the way of an exciting future. But just what could have caused him to switch over to Ferrari? Well, there's no denying some of his recent performances have been disappointing. And thanks to this switch, it's like Lewis is making a big statement to the F1 world. He wants to prove to everyone that he's not done just yet. By siding with Ferrari, Lewis gets to partner up with Charles Leclerc. These two will be teammates in the 2025 season, and if things go well, they might end up as one of the best driver duos we've seen in F1. Think about it, Leclerc is arguably the fastest driver in F1 over a single lap. Pair him up with a recharged Lewis who's ready to prove himself on the track, and you've got an F1 dream team on your hands. And the best part? The move will allow both drivers to improve. It'll provide Leclerc with a fantastic benchmark, and will also be a good test for Hamilton to see if he's still at the top of his game. After all, he's admitted to losing his confidence in recent years, especially with George Russell giving him such a hard time at Mercedes. Plus, you've got to keep in mind Leclerc is not only super fast, but also deeply involved within the Ferrari system. So we can expect him to be at 100% performance from the start in 2025. Now, some people think it's a bit selfish for Lewis to just abandon Mercedes given their long history and all, but you don't get to cement a lasting legacy while playing nice. The world of F1 is for people who can stand the heat and make bold decisions. And Hamilton's move, while ruthless, definitely shows he's still hungry for redemption. Also, by making the decision so early, he's giving Mercedes plenty of time to come up with a backup plan. But there's another reason why Lewis is dying for the switch. And well, it's that he's getting older. By the time he joins Ferrari, he's going to be in his 40s. He just doesn't have the time to stay on Mercedes' good books, hoping that the constructor is able to fix its core issues. For someone like Lewis who's craving wins, Mercedes just isn't that good of a contender anymore. At least not when compared to someone like Ferrari. Something about Ferrari's offer just has Hamilton convinced that they are the better choice, if not in 2025, then in the seasons that'll follow. Let's not forget that there will be new car and engine rules coming into play in 2026, and Lewis often switches his teams when that happens. His move to Mercedes was all about gearing up for the new era that kicked off in 2014, and boy did that work out well. Hamilton is obviously hoping history will repeat itself. And let's be honest, he doesn't need Ferrari to be the best team in F1. Lewis just needs it to be better than Mercedes for the switch to be worth it. But why go for Ferrari? Sure, let's say that Lewis wasn't happy with Mercedes' performance, and he wanted to try his luck with another team. Even in that case, going for Ferrari is still really confusing. It's not like the team is at the top of the game right now. Ferrari's last 2 years have been swamped by Red Bull dominance. The team has hurt itself thanks to the poor racing strategy and car development decisions. Some fans even argue that they're in a worse position than even Mercedes. Their cars have tons of aerodynamic issues, not to mention the lack of speed on the straights. But it's clear that there's something that Lewis is seeing in Ferrari that the rest of us can't. As we said, the decision to move away from Mercedes couldn't have been an easy one. So the offer the team gave to Lewis had to be a good one. We're guessing Ferrari has something really exciting in the works, especially when you consider the car and engine rule changes that'll arrive in 2026. It's also possible that his existing relationship with Ferrari team boss Fred Vasseur, who Hamilton raced for in his F3 and GP2 days, helped sway his decision. And again, Ferrari just needs to outmatch Mercedes in terms of its performance for the move to be a good decision on Hamilton's part. So while we don't exactly see the team suddenly jumping to the top just yet, with Hamilton by their side, they've got the opportunity to be better than Mercedes. It looks like Mercedes will go through a rough time in the coming seasons. It's one thing if Hamilton just retired. Sure, his current team would lose a star player, but at least it'd be understandable that he's done with the sport and looking to enjoy a well-deserved retirement. But for Lewis to join a rival team? Well, that's in a completely different ballgame when it comes to betrayal, especially since Ferrari is in a similar competitive position to Mercedes. But if you ask us, Mercedes really has no one to blame but itself. As Mercedes technical director James Allison said in January, winning is a core part of Lewis Hamilton's psyche. History shows us that Hamilton has always been focused on putting himself in the best possible position to win. Say what you will about the guy, but it's this one quality about him that has made him such an iconic driver over the years. His recent races with Mercedes just haven't been that great, and it seems obvious the guy just doesn't have confidence in his team. Sure, there might be some major falling out with management that we don't know about, but it might be just as simple as Lewis feeling like Mercedes isn't good enough for him. For a long time, fans wondered if the car or Hamilton's own performance was to blame for his recent disappointments. Well, guess we have our answer now. And so, Mercedes is now left without the driver who's the biggest reason behind its success. We can bet on the fact that they're already going crazy trying to look for a replacement. And don't even get us started on how awkward this upcoming season is going to be for Hamilton and Mercedes. He doesn't get off the hook until 2025, so for now, Mercedes still has an entire season of racing ahead of them, knowing that their star driver is bound to be one of their biggest rivals. That's just gotta hurt, right? We also can't help but wonder what this means for Mercedes' chances of emerging as a Red Bull challenger in 2024 and 2025. If Lewis's move is anything to go by, the situation looks pretty dead. As for that backup plan we were talking about, well, it's true that Mercedes isn't entirely out of options. They've still got some other drivers to fall back on. But let's be real, it's going to be super tough for the team to find someone who can fill Hamilton's shoes. Drivers like that don't just grow on trees. For Mercedes, George Russell could be the light at the end of the tunnel. Russell had a tough 2023, and this isn't just us saying that, the guy pretty much admitted it himself. Still, his performance in 2022 was miles better, and it showed he can be a reliable player for Mercedes. If he steps up his game this year and thrives as the clear team leader in Hamilton's absence, then it just comes down to whether or not Mercedes can find a suitable teammate for him. Given Mercedes' track record, we'd say having two alpha drivers isn't out of the question, but many of the best are already under contract, like Lando Norris at McLaren. And so, you can predict the team shopping among the free agents. So, could a move for Fernando Alonso be ruled out? He's probably the most competitive prospect who could be available for 2025, and would be the closest thing to a like-for-like alternative to Hamilton, given his experience, determination, and ability. He's also the only option who could be considered a plug-in-and-play championship challenger, assuming Mercedes is even up for it in 2025. That said, he isn't perfect. For one, his age might cause some divisiveness, at least in the short term. Some fans are even considering bringing back Valtteri Bottas. That seems way too unlikely, especially when there are far better options on the table. Carlos Sainz could be a strong contender, as could Russell's longtime friend Alex Albon. Albon is looking for a step up from Williams and has proven himself ready for a bigger opportunity after rebuilding his reputation post-Red Bull. Now, hear us out. If Mercedes really wanted to do something great, they could consider going for Formula 2 rookie Andrea Kimi Antonelli. He'd be a totally unexpected choice, but we can see him working out really well for the team in the long run. He's not even 18 yet and is already making waves in the F2 world. Who knows, he might just end up being another Hamilton in the making. But going back to Ferrari for a sec, it's going to be interesting to see how Hamilton joining the team changes things for them. Before Hamilton announced his move, everyone was expecting Carlos Sainz's contract to get extended. Sainz is Leclerc's current teammate, and it looks like he'll be sitting out some of the races once Hamilton joins. Fans of Ferrari will know that Sainz and Leclerc have a strong partnership. Their skill sets really complement each other, so losing Sainz might be a bigger blow to the team than it looks like. Carlos might end up going to Mercedes instead, or who knows, even Aston Martin or Red Bull could give him an offer. As for Lewis, we think he'll be fairly comfortable with Ferrari for at least a couple of seasons. Some people were already thinking he was ready to call it quits, so the fact that he's still chugging along is a big deal. Ferrari might just end up being the final team he's in before his eventual retirement, but no one really knows for sure. If there's one thing Hamilton has shown over the years, it's that he's super unpredictable. He's willing to do anything as long as it gets him those wins he loves so much. So, while this might be the final chapter of Lewis's journey in F1, his bold attitude will definitely make it one of the most memorable, for better or for worse. It'll be fun to see how everything works out in the end. Anyway, if you want to check out some more content on F1 racing and its history, make sure to click on this next video.